When you picture a genius, what comes to mind?
Is it someone with a messy office, wild hair, and equations scribbled on a dusty blackboard?
For decades, we've been fed this stereotype of the mad, eccentric genius, someone whose brilliance is loud and obvious. But what if the truest signs of an exceptionally high IQ are actually quiet? What if they're not found in grand gestures, but in the subtle patterns of your own mind? Have you ever felt like your brain is running a different kind of software than everyone else's? You might not be the loudest person in the room, but you're constantly analyzing, connecting, and questioning everything. You feel a deep frustration when things are inefficient, or a quiet joy in finding a connection between two totally unrelated ideas. These aren't just quirks or habits. They are the signatures of a highly advanced cognitive operating system. And in this video, we are going to peel back the interface and look directly at the source code. We'll explore the hidden brain patterns that define the psychology of people with exceptionally high intelligence. The insights we cover might just change the way you see yourself. You may discover that the things that make you feel different are actually the things that make you brilliant. So forget the stereotypes. Most videos on this topic will give you a surface-level list of habits. They'll tell you smart people read a lot or are curious, which is true, but it doesn't explain the why. We're going deeper, because true intelligence isn't about the knowledge you collect, it's about the connections you create between it. This is the core idea that separates this video from the rest. We're not just looking at what intelligent people do, we're exploring how they think. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 8 specific and often counterintuitive cognitive patterns. These aren't my opinions. They're rooted in established principles of cognitive psychology, particularly in the fields of metacognition and systems thinking. Metacognition is the ability to think about your own thinking. Systems thinking is the ability to see how all the parts of a complex system connect and influence each other. Together, they form the foundation for the patterns we're about to discuss. As we go through this list, I encourage you to see it as a mirror. Pay attention to which of these patterns feel deeply familiar. You might be surprised to find a name for the mental processes you've been using your entire life. By the end, you'll have a new framework for understanding your own mind. Let's begin with the first pattern. The first cognitive pattern isn't a habit, it's a way of seeing. It's the tendency to synthesize disparate information. This is the ability to see a connection between two things that seem completely unrelated to everyone else. Imagine a strategist watching a documentary about fungal networks and suddenly understanding how to restructure a company's communication channels. Or a musician who finds inspiration for a melody in the mathematical patterns of a seashell. This isn't just random creativity. Cognitive psychologists refer to this as advanced associative thinking. The highly intelligent brain doesn't store information in rigid, separate boxes labeled biology or business. Instead, it builds a vast, interconnected web of knowledge. Every new piece of information becomes a node that can connect to any other node in the network. Their mind is essentially a powerful search engine for analogies, constantly looking for underlying patterns that unite different domains. This is why they often have diverse interests and can pull insights from seemingly nowhere. It's not from nowhere, it's from everywhere. Now, this next one might seem negative at first, but the psychology behind it is fascinating. Pattern number 2 is possessing a dark or absurdist sense of humor. This isn't about being mean-spirited, it's about cognitive complexity. Humor that finds comedy in life's contradictions, paradoxes, or even its bleakness requires a high level of abstract reasoning. For example, a joke that hinges on an existential premise isn't just a joke, it's a philosophical thought experiment disguised as a punchline. To get it, your brain has to perform several complex operations at once. It must hold a conventional expectation in mind, understand the absurd twist, and then instantly recognize the logical leap that connects the two. Studies suggest a correlation between high scores on intelligence tests and an appreciation for black humor. It's because this type of humor is a workout for the brain's pattern recognition and emotional regulation centers. So, if you've ever been the only one in a room to laugh at a dry, morbid joke, you weren't being weird. Your brain was simply processing the information on a different, more abstract level. It's a sign of a mind that can handle complex and even uncomfortable ideas with flexibility. This pattern shows an ability to step back from a situation and see it from a meta perspective, which is a key component of high intelligence. The third pattern is something you may have been told is strange or even a sign of madness. It's the tendency to talk to yourself. But talking to yourself isn't madness, it's cognitive offloading, a way of clearing up RAM for deeper processing. Think of your short-term memory like the RAM on a computer. It's limited and can get bogged down. When you're wrestling with a complex problem, you have multiple variables, possibilities, and logical steps to hold in your mind at once. By verbalizing some of these thoughts, you are literally moving them out of your crowded mental workspace and into the auditory loop. Imagine a programmer pacing around their office, muttering lines of code to themselves. They're not just reciting, they are externalizing the logic to better inspect it. This frees up precious cognitive resources to focus on the more abstract structure of the problem. Psychologists call this self-directed speech, and numerous studies have shown it enhances problem-solving, focus, and emotional regulation. So the next time you find yourself narrating your actions or debating a decision out loud, don't feel self-conscious. You're simply using an advanced cognitive tool to optimize your own thinking process. The fourth pattern is the pursuit of intense and often niche hobbies. This goes beyond simply having interests. It's about diving headfirst into a subject with an obsessive level of focus. Think of a friend who isn't just into history, but is obsessed with the specific blacksmithing techniques of the late Ottoman Empire. Or someone who spends weekends mastering the complex art of cultivating rare orchids. To an outsider, this might look like a strange obsession or a waste of time. But from a cognitive perspective, these niche hobbies are mental gymnasiums. They provide a perfect environment for the intelligent mind to practice its core skills in a low-stakes setting. Learning medieval blacksmithing requires deep research, pattern recognition, understanding a complex system of materials and temperatures, and problem-solving through trial and error. These are the exact same skills used to solve novel problems in science, business, or art. These hobbies are not an escape from thinking. They are a different, more joyful form of it. They satisfy the brain's deep-seated need for mastery and understanding. Does any of this sound familiar? If you're finding yourself nodding along and recognizing these patterns in your own mind, you're in the right place. We're building a community of curious minds here who want to understand how their brains work. So if that sounds like you, consider subscribing to keep exploring with us. The next set of patterns are not just about what you do alone, but how you see and interact with the world. This brings us to pattern number 5, a deep, visceral frustration with inefficiency. This can be one of the most socially challenging traits for a highly intelligent person.
Have you ever been infuriated by a poorly designed website, a bureaucratic form that asks for the same information 3 times, or a meeting that could have been an email?
This isn't just impatience or being difficult. That frustration you feel with inefficient systems isn't you being difficult. It's your mind seeing a better way.
This is a direct symptom of a brain wired for systems thinking.
Your mind doesn't just see the broken process, it simultaneously and automatically maps out a more logical, streamlined, and efficient version. The frustration comes from the cognitive dissonance between the elegant solution in your head and the clumsy reality in front of you. It's like being a master architect forced to live in a poorly constructed house. You can't help but see all the structural flaws. This quality, while sometimes causing friction, is also the source of all innovation and progress. It's the mind that refuses to accept "this is how we've always done it" as a valid reason. This leads directly into our 6th pattern, selective socializing. This is often misinterpreted as being antisocial or arrogant, when in reality it's about cognitive efficiency. Consider the difference between small talk at a holiday party and a deep one-on-one conversation with a friend. Small talk about the weather or weekend plans is like a low-bandwidth data transfer. It's functional, but carries very little information. For a brain that craves complex input and new connections, it can feel draining and unfulfilling. A deep conversation, on the other hand, is a high-bandwidth exchange of ideas, perspectives, and mental models. It's stimulating. It builds new neural pathways, and it energizes the highly intelligent mind. This is why many people with high IQs prefer a small circle of close friends with whom they can have meaningful discussions, rather than a large network of acquaintances. It's not an aversion to people, it's an aversion to low-information interactions. They're seeking cognitive nourishment, not just social contact. Our final 2 patterns represent the highest order of thinking, and they are what truly separate a good mind from a great one. Pattern number 7 is a genuine comfort with ambiguity. Most people crave certainty and clear-cut answers. Ambiguity feels uncomfortable, like a problem that needs to be solved immediately. But a highly intelligent mind understands that reality is rarely simple or binary. As F. Scott Fitzgerald famously said, the test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold 2 opposed ideas in the mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. This isn't indecisiveness. It's the capacity to see the merit in competing perspectives, to resist a premature conclusion, and to remain open to new information that might change the entire picture. It allows them to work on incredibly complex problems where the answer isn't known and might not be for a very long time. The smartest person in the room isn't the one with all the answers, but the one most comfortable with ambiguity. This brings us to the final and perhaps most important pattern. Number 8 is the habit of constant self-correction. A truly intelligent mind is not attached to being right. It is attached to getting it right. This means they are actively seeking out disconfirming evidence for their own beliefs. Instead of trying to prove their theory correct, a highly intelligent person will often try to prove their own theory wrong. They ask themselves questions like, "What if my assumption is wrong?" Or, "What's the strongest argument against my position?" This practice, a core component of metacognition, is the ultimate defense against the Dunning-Kruger effect, where people with low ability tend to overestimate it. By constantly challenging their own beliefs, they maintain a state of intellectual humility and ensure their mental models are as accurate as possible. It's the understanding that being wrong is not a failure, but an opportunity to become slightly less wrong.
So what does this all mean for you?
We've gone through 8 complex cognitive patterns, but they can be simplified into a memorable framework I call the 3 C's of advanced cognition. The first C is curiosity. This is the engine that drives the pursuit of niche hobbies and the desire to understand why things are inefficient. The second C is connection. This is the ability to synthesize disparate information and find the abstract links that create a dark sense of humor. The third C is correction. This is the intellectual honesty to be comfortable with ambiguity and to constantly self-correct your own beliefs. Curiosity, connection, and correction. These 3 principles are the foundation upon which that complex mental operating system is built. You don't need to force these patterns. The goal is simply to recognize and nurture them. So here is a simple challenge. For the next week, just try to find one connection between 2 totally different ideas you encounter. Notice it, appreciate it, and see how it feels. That's how you begin to consciously cultivate your own innate intelligence. So we've journeyed through the hidden corridors of the intelligent mind. We've seen that true intelligence isn't a score you get on a test. It's an operating system designed for deep and flexible thinking. It's not about having a messy desk or wild hair. It's about the beautifully complex wiring underneath that allows you to synthesize ideas, appreciate complex humor, and talk yourself through a problem. It's the internal drive that makes you frustrated with inefficiency, but energized by a deep conversation. And most of all, it's the quiet courage to live with ambiguity and to seek correction over being correct. If you recognized yourself in these patterns, then I hope this video has served as a validation. Those moments of feeling different, of overthinking, or of being intensely curious are not flaws. They are the hallmarks of a powerful and engaged mind at work. The truest sign of intelligence isn't knowing all the answers. It is being permanently in love with the questions. Remember that intelligence isn't something to be proven to others. Genius isn't a title to be earned. It's a state of curiosity to be lived in. Now, I want to hear from you. Of these 8 patterns, which one felt most like looking in a mirror? Let me know your number 1 in the comments below. I read as many as I can, and it helps us all see how common these uncommon traits really are. If you enjoy exploring the inner workings of the mind, subscribe and join our community for more insights like these. Thank you for watching.